week, Kathy rested and gathered her strength. On Saturday of the second week of October, she stayed in her bedroom all morning. Adam tried the door and found it locked. "Maybe," she called, and he went away, putting her bureau in order, he thought, for he could hear her opening doors and closing them. In the late afternoon, Lee came to Adam where he sat on the stoop, and in a very racist Chinese accent, he said, "Missy say I go King City buy nursey bottle," he said uneasily. "Well, do it then," said Adam. "She's your mistress." "Missy say not come back, maybe Monday. Take..." Kathy spoke calmly from the doorway. "He hasn't had a day off for a very long time. A rest would do him good." "Of course," said Adam. "I just didn't think of it. Have a good time. If I need anything, I'll get one of the carpenters. Our men go home Sunday." "I'll get the Indian. Lopez will help." Lee felt Kathy's eyes on him. "Lopez drunk fine bottle whiskey," Adam said petulantly. "I'm not helpless. Lee, stop arguing." Lee looked at Kathy standing in the doorway. He lowered his eyelids. "Maybe I come late," he said, and he thought he saw two dark lines appear between her eyes and then disappear. He turned away. "Gooby," he said. Goodbye, Gooby, something like that. Kathy went back to her room as the evening came down. At 7:30, Adam knocked. "I've got your supper, dear. It's not much." The door opened as though she had been standing waiting. She was dressed in her neat traveling dress, and then they described clothing, and I'm not going to read that because that's boring, and no. Okay. She gave Adam's mouth dropped open. She gave him no chance to speak. "I'm going away now." "Kathy, what do you mean?" "I told you before." "You didn't." "You didn't listen. It doesn't matter." "I don't believe you." Her voice was dead and metallic. "I don't give a damn what you believe. I'm going." "But the babies." "Throw them in one of your wells," he cried in panic. "Kathy, you're sick. You can't go. Not from me. Not from me." "I can do anything to you. Any woman can do anything to you. You're a fool." The word got through the haze. Without warning, his hands reached for her shoulders, and he thrust her backwards. As she staggered, he took the key from the inside of the door, slammed the door shut, and locked it. He stood panting, his ear close to the panel, and her hysterical sickness poisoned him. He could hear her moving quietly about. A drawer was opened, and the thought leaped to him, "She's going to stay." And then there was a little click he could not place. His ear was almost touching the door. Her voice came from so near that he jerked his head back. He heard richness in her voice. "Dear," she said softly, "I didn't know you would take it so. I'm sorry, Adam." His breath burst hoarsely out of his throat. His hand trembled, trying to turn the key, and it fell out on the floor after he had turned it. He pushed the door open. She stood 3 feet away. In her right hand she held his .44 Colt, and the black hole in the barrel pointed at him. He took a step toward her, saw that the hammer was back. She shot him. Bang. Bang, bang, my love shot me. Okay. The heavy slug struck him in the shoulder and flattened and tore out a piece of his shoulder blade. The flash and roar smothered him, and he staggered back and fell to the floor. She moved slowly toward him, cautiously, as she might toward a wounded animal. He stared up into her eyes, which inspected him impersonally. She tossed the pistol on the floor beside him and She tossed the pistol on the floor beside him and walked out of the house. He heard her steps on the porch, on the crisp, dry oak leaves, on the path. And then he could hear her no more. And the monotonous sound that had been there all along was the cry of the twins, wanting their dinner. He had forgotten to feed them. He had forgotten to feed them.